guys, in 2 more minutes, we will begin this evening's presentation, the do's and don'ts of vending. Small informational, short informational that will give you some insight into our full-length class. Our full-length class features the do's and don'ts of vending, but also comprehensive information, everything that you need to know from A to Z about vending. Okay, so tonight we'll take you through some very important do's and don'ts that every vendor can benefit from, whether you're starting off or if you're a seasoned vendor as well. So please make sure you are going to smartmoneyuniversity.org for more information about all of our programs, all of our education, our classes, right? We have the education section, we have the opportunities section, we also have business opportunities and services. We have great services to increase your finances both on the personal side and the business side. So very great information there. So please do go to the site and look at what we are doing, what we have to offer. So one of the classes that we offer, one of the training classes is Learn the Art of Vending based on the ebook that I authored. And it is a whole curriculum that we go through. We bring you all of the information that you need to know. Actually, Brother Rojo calls it the vending Bible. So we're going to officially start in about 1 minute. Okay, family. It is actually now 10 minutes after the hour, and we are going to officially start. Hi, Brother Raymond. Thank you so much for joining the presentation tonight. Shout outs to all those that are joining us on blackstream.live as well. Raymond G is a brand ambassador as well as myself. Blackstream.live is an amazing platform that you can build your business on. You can provide information, have one comprehensive place where you can provide information, go live stream and interact with your community and your market base. All right, so please do check that out. Go to blackstream.live. You can hit the expo and look at different programs, different channels that are there. We're actually live on channel 3 right now as well. So thank you again for joining us for this special presentation on the do's and don'ts of vending. Okay, my name is Pojanee Fleury, and I'll be your presenter for tonight. I founded Smart Money University in 2019, and it came from a premise of me being a business owner, me being into media, where there were a lot of people, a lot of opportunities that were coming my way that I wasn't necessarily able to take advantage of. I wasn't able to take advantage of all of them because of the many things that I do myself. But I did feel the need. The reason why people were coming to me with these opportunities is because they wanted to impart that throughout my network, through the publications that I run, things like that. And I said, I still want to connect these people to the community, even if I can't me specifically be involved. So I said, let me create a platform where I can do that, where we'll be presenting information on a consistent basis, opportunities, special services that people may need. And then I also, when thinking about Smart Money University and what I wanted to offer, I noticed that there were some gaps in the community, in the community business world, where there were certain trainings that people really needed, but it was not offered yet. So I thought about these really creative programs that we can do. And so one of them was vending. So I wanted to find a way that I can impart the information that I had learned as a vendor. And I started off vending when I started my company, Brown Eyes Company, and subsequently publication Brown Eyes Magazine and others down the line. So I started off right in the community, bringing the magazine out and putting up different tables and presentations and different things like that in the community. So I got to learn the ropes of vending really like on my own and just like observing the other vendors and things like that. And it was hard, just kind of learning on my own. And I said, well, what do people need to learn or know about vending? And I remembered all of the times that I had observed other vendors, and I realized that there were certain things that successful vendors did versus non-successful vendors. Vendors, those vendors that are always upset at the end of the event. That's not the right way that you want to present your business, because people do remember you and do remember the experiences that they have with you. So I developed the ebook, and then subsequently that turned into a whole curriculum, which now is a class. And I'll talk later on about how you can get involved in that class if you would like. So I'm going to turn it over right now to my brother Rojo, who will introduce himself. He is my partner, and his network also has partnered with Smart Money University to bring amazing services and also information. So, Brother Rojo.
Greetings. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Peace and love, family. Peace and love. Giving thanks. First and foremost, I want to give thanks to our sister PJ, doing a wonderful work. She created, birth, what we call the Learn the Art of Vending, Vending Bible. Giving thanks to our manual. We call it the Emmanuel. So these are some things as we add on to the conversation. We can discuss the different levels of vendors that's out there. To even like the mid-tier event, me and PJ, way back, we've been doing a lot of mid-tier event, Brownstone, especially in the East Coast area. We do a lot of mid-tier events where we even showcase talents and other resources, have vendors speak. To even major festivals, major, where you gotta, you have to pay to play. That's what it's called. You gotta pay to play, and you gotta come correct. You can't come out there with no cardboard box with information on it. You gotta have your mascot. You gotta have all these things in order when you're coming out for the major event. To even we doing the virtual. So one of the things myself, just to briefly introduce and share, myself and Powerful Pioneers, we develop this wonderful opportunity for members to have this opportunity to vent at these different places and get the experience so they can showcase their talent, their skills, to the world before they go out to the corporate world. They have an opportunity in these different tiers events to showcase their talent. And this is one of the many things myself and Powerful Pioneers we offer. Giving thanks.
Absolutely. Giving thanks, Brother Rojo. And you can go to powerfulpioneers.com for more information about the resource network. And of course, please do visit smartmoneyuniversity.org for the classes that Brother Rojo will be presenting. And we'll announce that at the end of the program, what specific classes, but definitely go to the site. You can see all of that right now. And so one of the things that Brother Rojo mentioned is the different levels of events. And that is definitely something that you might not understand or, know as a new vendor just starting out, that there are different types of events that require different things. So you'd want to be very, how would I say, just forward thinking and prepared, and thinking about your product, thinking about what would be the best space for that product. Is it on the streets where there are spaces for vending, just like on the sidewalk? There are busy areas near train stations and people can set up to vent. Is that the best place? If you have delicate items, you might want to just stick to indoor events. So you want to definitely think about what you want to do beforehand. So with that, I'm going to get into the presentation. I'm going to share my screen because that is actually one of the do's. We are covering the do's and don'ts of vending. And this, again, is a small snippet of the full class. and we're just going to pull out a few of the do's and the don'ts. So the first do is all of these different things. You have to be forward thinking. So the name of the game of vending is preparation. And if you stay prepared, and I'll get into that a little bit later, if you stay prepared, it makes it much easier. You become a much more effective vendor. The second thing that you want to do is arrive on time. So now we're getting into the actual event. You're going out to the event. Arrive on time, not early. Now, this is a veteran tip here. Do not go early, because what that creates is confusion. Because if there's a call time for vendors and it's 8 o'clock, but you get there at 7:30 or 7, and there are people who are naturally just early. There are people that function on that type of time schedule. But if you're working especially with a large event like an expo, and they have a certain schedule of when the vendors are supposed to come in, and you try to get in an hour early thinking you're going to beat the crowd and all of this, you're not going to get in. And you're just going to be sitting there wasting your time. And you're going to be in the way of people trying to do what they need to do to set the event up to be ready for the vendors. So people don't understand, like, if you're not an event producer, right? So I'm going to take off my presenter cap, and I'm going to put on my event producer cap. When I'm producing an event and I ask the vendors to come at a certain time, I have other things to do. I might be getting there at the same time, or I might be getting there ahead of time to prepare the space. Or again, if I'm getting there at the same time that the vendors are supposed to be there and I had things to do, I'm not there an hour early as you are. You might be outside of the event venue. You might have to be in your car. You might have to stand outside. It just creates a lot of confusion that can be avoided if you just arrive at the time specified. Easy. And then on the other side of the spectrum, you do not want to arrive late, because that messes up the flow for the event producer as well. So the event is already happening, right? The event is already taken off. And then now things have to stop for this vendor to come in and set up while the event is going on. You're sticking out like a sore thumb, and it creates confusion. And it's just not a good look all the way around. You come in with a crazy energy. And so that's the next do. Set up everything before the crowd arrives. Don't be the vendor that gets there on time, but then you get there on time and then you're talking to the event producer, or you're talking to other people there, the bartender, like you're just doing too much, and you're not set up by the time the crowd comes in, and you just look like you're not an organized person. You're not an organized vendor. So you want to arrive on time, and you want to set up. Well, as soon as you get there, start setting up. If you, of course, if you have to go to the bathroom, this and that, you want to, kind of wind into it. Take a few moments to do that, but get set up and make sure that you're set up by the time the crowd comes. They want to come in and get an experience. They want to come in and say, oh, let me peep that. Let me put my stuff down. But I saw that over there. And you're going to see, like, and as an event producer, I talk about this all the time when I talk about the art of vending, that I can tell right away when a vendor comes in if they're going to make money. They're on time, right? Those that make money, these master vendors, they're on time. They have the right energy. They get in, they get right to business. They set up their table. They make sure that their setup, their space is good. That is their number one priority, because you don't know if something might happen. If you might have forgot something, got to run to the store real quick, just get a quick thing. Like, you want to make sure that what you have to present to people is ready beforehand. Okay. So even if all of these things don't happen the way it's supposed to happen, the way that you planned it, right? Because we understand that sometimes things happen, right? There could be traffic, something delayed, you got there late. Now you have to set up while the event is going on. Keep a positive attitude. Don't let the patrons know that you're having a bad experience because you shoot yourself in the foot. You're already late. You're already frustrated anyway. So some people think that having a negative attitude helps them. Like if you're oh my gosh, and you're gonna think maybe people might have sympathy for you or might want to come over and help. And while they're helping, they might grab a few pieces. Not always, right? It just brings an air of you not being organized, of you being disruptive, and all of that stuff. So you're already dealing with those kinds of emotions. So you having a positive attitude to conquer that will really make the difference and will really make people take a second look at what you're doing there at the event. The next thing you want to do is present, demonstrate, and communicate. And I'm going to call on my brother Rojo because this is like a little adaptation of what he says, his model. And really, you don't want to come off too salesy. This is not a car dealership. You're not a shark salesman. Okay. This is not the vending is really not about that. When you start to observe and you start to understand the art of vending, you're not really there to sell people on your products. You want to present, demonstrate, and communicate. So let's break that down because you're not selling, right? So this is something, if people can really hone their skills around, you will see that there is way more traction with this method. So you want to present, you have a great presentation. Your booth or your table is organized, that it has the correct labels. Labels help tremendously, labeling what your products are, labeling the price. If there's any ingredients and it's simple enough, it could be written, quickly on a small sticker or something like that. That's also very helpful. You want to present yourself in a positive way and a attractive way. And so you have all of these things, you're presenting beautifully. Then you want to demonstrate different products that you have. You either want to provide tastings if you're a food vendor. You want to maybe provide a sample of the lotion. People that are passing by, oh, do you want to try a little bit of this lotion, this little bit of shea butter? Do you want a spritz of this nice scent? Always offer people to demonstrate your product. Most of 90% of the time, if you can get someone to try your product or put it in their hand, touch it, they're going to buy it. So sometimes you'll see seasoned shoppers of like pop-up shops and things like that. They'll shy away from testing things because they're like, you know what? If I touch it, I know I'm gonna buy it. So you know what? Let me not touch it. I'm not sure. I can see from afar. I'm okay. Again, keep that positive attitude. If they don't want to demonstrate, if they don't want a demo of the product, fine. Move on. There are other patrons at the event. Then you want to have great communication skills. You want to communicate well what your product does, what it's good for, why it's different from other products. You want to have a conversation with patrons, engage them, draw them in so that they're talking to you and asking questions more about your product. And then you also want to make sure that you have some kind of customer retention system in place. So what do I mean by that? Customer retention. That means you want to retain the customers that come to your table. So whether they bought there or not, if you have a conversation with them, you engaged with them, it's the perfect opportunity to get their contact information so that you can follow up with them at a later time. You want to communicate this communication. They want to feel like, okay, I'm going to speak to this person again in the future. I'm going to hear about them. I'm going to know if they have new products. I'm going to know if they have deals and specials coming on, because maybe if I don't buy today, I might buy if you're having that great sale. So you definitely want to have that in place as part of your preparation. That's about in the book, all of the things that you need to prepare before you go out to event at an event. So you want to know how your table is going to look. So you want to know where your email blast list is going to be. You want to at least capture their email. If you can do their phone number and their social media, that's amazing. If you are, new school, you can just have your device out right when you are communicating and say, hey, let's follow each other. Totally, appropriate for today, this day and age. Folks who kind of like the old school way, make sure that you have one or two email lists. If you're working with a team, make sure that your team understands that any person that they communicate with, they should be getting their information. Okay. And then the next thing on your do's list is having a breakdown system. Okay. Now, this is a very important tip that I'm going to give you here. So I actually hope that people were taking notes. And if you haven't taken notes yet, take a note of this. This is very important to staying prepared. When you break down your table or your booth, pack it neatly in an organized fashion. Because when you go to the next event, your items should be in such a way that you are able to find everything that you need. You're able to set up your table in a matter of minutes. That helps you be very efficient, depending on what type of vendor you are. If you're a food vendor, you might not be able to do that. Other vendors that have a lot of different little pieces, if you're a crafts person and you need those pieces for your display, you want to put them in a way where you're going to find them when you need them. You might get a call. There might be an after party. They're like, hey, let's go to this, after party, and, still set up some vendors or the after party, whatever the case may be. The next day, people love the event. They're going to extend it the next day. You want to be ready. And that's how you stay prepared. Okay. So that's a really important tip that I had to learn, that I did not know in the beginning, and has been really tremendous for me. And I noticed that master vendors are always ready. If I have an event tomorrow, I know that there are 3 vendors that I can call and they're not going to have a problem. All right. But if you are a vendor that needs to have that preparation time and things like that, it takes you a little bit of longer time. You might not have to think about this, but it definitely helps in the unpacking process when you get home and everything, to put things away, and also take a log of merchandise. Take a log of the different things that you have. If you have like hangers or baskets and things like that, and you want to make sure those things didn't get lost in the process. So packing neatly really helps with that. And the next thing that you want to do is to have your exit plan prepared. How you are leaving the event, what's your transportation, how are you, paying, did you pay before, is at the end do you have to pay, all of those things. Your exit plan, know about it ahead of time. That's also a part of being prepared. So you understand that being a vendor means being a successful master vendor means being prepared, because you thought about all of the variables beforehand. So one of these things is, leaving in the transportation. So I've seen some vendors understand that, listen, I have to either take the train or the bus. I took a cab here, and so I cannot go home with product. So even with that, if that's their goal, to make sure that they leave all the products at that event, it's an incentive for them to sell more product. So I've seen some people do that. And I've also seen people just try to make sure that they are able to dispose of the item. So whether it's like a food vendor that you can't reuse the food the next day? If you don't want to waste it, do you have somewhere that you can drop it? Do you want to give that away to patrons, those that are left behind, maybe the production crew of the event? Maybe you can donate that to them, because that, listen, I'm either not prepared to take all of this stuff home, or something might have happened. You want to be prepared for all of the variables. There's nothing like a vendor that has all of their stuff and does not know how they're going to get home, and they're asking the event producer to ask people if they can get a ride home. Rojo, tell me if I'm right or if I'm wrong. Like, why would people wait for the last minute to say, I don't have a way to get home? And then you have like 15 bags. Okay, I don't think Brother Rojo is available. Okay, there he is.
No, it's true. It's so true. This is why, preparation from the beginning, even, and I'm just, I definitely want you, because you're sharing some powerful information here, sis. So I definitely, once you finish that, I want to touch on the different tiers, because even with what you're saying with the do's and don'ts, a lot of these different dynamics apply differently for the different tiers. It apply all collectively for every aspect, but now it could be maneuvered differently depending on what level of vending that you're doing. So the preparation is so important from ahead of time. And we always say, before even taking the responsibility of committing to the event, prepare yourself overall. And then before you even get to the event, prepare yourself with your checklist. And then when you get to the event, prepare yourself for where you're going to be. And then before you leave the event, have the exit plan. So preparation is always a must when you're doing vending, giving thanks.
Yes. And what was your model? You present, demonstrate. Is it educate? Brother Rojo, what's
Yeah, so one of the powerful pioneer models that we have is educate, demonstrate, showcase, and present. You must be willing to educate on the services and resource you have. You demonstrate to the people, so that, show and prove demonstration is very important. Even as a community educator, we do a lot to demonstrate and show people how it works. Um, showcase and giving thanks. Sister PJ and all the work she does showcase performances. So when you're able to showcase your resource, people can, it's like a show. Your product, your business is a show. So what you going to showcase? And so educate, demonstrate, showcase, and present. And then, of course, a presentation. So those are 4 levels that once you do those 4, everything else sell itself. Because you're not, like my sister said, you're not a salesman or woman. You're not coming here to sell. You're not coming beyond any dope. You want this? There's some people when it comes to vending, you be like, don't go over there. They be trying to grab you. Come here, get this piece of flour that I made. And like, come on, so while we out here cooking up an apple salad, we have somebody giving out sample, and then somebody eat the salad doing the James Brown dance. Hey, see what the apple salad do? You can do that, and everything else sell itself. Giving thanks.
right, right. That is the best way. And I honestly, like I noticed that the vendors were doing, the master vendors that I observed were doing just that, but you definitely encapsulate that with the model of powerful pioneers. So that's amazing. And you also led us into the next portion, the don'ts. Don't commit to an event unless you can do it. Like, honestly, family, like, you would think that we don't have to mention that, but we all know of these situations where, and again, I am wearing my event producer hat. So all the event producers out there, there's been those situations where you set up your event and you have a certain amount of space. You have room for 10 vendors, and you have your vendors, everybody is booked, ready to go. And the day of or the day before, a vendor says they can't make it. Now, what does that do? It creates a lot of problems on a few different levels. Like, yeah, the event producer may be able to, say, okay, that's water under the bridge. However, if you took up that spot for that amount of time, that that space could have been open for a vendor that could have been there and might have needed some time to prepare. So that's really selfish to not have that prepared beforehand. And excuse me, family. I think that we might be disturbed. Let me just mute very quickly. Okay, I'll mute when I have to. I apologize, family. Okay, so where was I? Yes, do not commit to the event unless you can do it. Okay, I was explaining how that creates trouble for the event producer. You're taking up space for another vendor that could have taken that space. The event producer might have been, making sure that that was part of their budget. So many different things that that creates. And the next thing that you do not want to do is disobey the rules of the event or the location. Okay, family, I am back. I apologize for that interruption. So, you want to obey the rules of the event and the location. Again, you don't want to be that person that is destructive. You want to, at all levels, you want to protect your reputation, right? So you don't want to have the reputation of being that vendor that is coming, too early or too late, or they're sour, by the time the event is done, they don't have a ride. Like, you don't want to be that guy, that woman. Make it smooth for the event process, because as smoother the event process is, the better it is for you. You're going to be able to educate, demonstrate, do all of those things that you want to do. And especially at the high level events, you cannot disobey the rules. You're going to be out. And these are events that you're paying thousands of dollars for in some cases. So you don't want to mess up that money. You do not want to get to a Jacob Javits Center, a huge center in New York City, to do, let's just say, the Circle of Sisters, and they have stipulations. You have to come to a certain location to come in to set up. You have to set up the day before. Follow those rules. They're there for a reason. They're there to make sure that the event can run smoothly. So if the vendors are creating friction, now I'm saying that the vendor should stay positive. Of course, the event producer should stay positive, but that doesn't always happen. So you want to reduce the amount of stress that you are putting on the areas around you. The more prepared you are, the more in sync you are, the better experience you're going to have, and people are going to benefit that from that. The patrons are going to benefit. And so we talked about the rules of events, but also locations. So does that mean that you need a license? Does that mean that you need any type of permit? Does that mean that you have to be in a certain area? Because if you're vending outdoors and you're vending in an area where it is not allowed, you don't want to get a ticket. You don't want to get, arrested, or, anything like that, right? There are certain exceptions to the rules, right? And this is a little tip here that a lot of people don't get. So, in the case of an event like a huge fair, like we have the Caribbean Day Festival, the Labor Day Parade, which is the Caribbean American parade, and at this parade, is quite pricey to vend. You have to have a street permit, and there's all these stipulations and everything. NYPD is all over it, but it used to be a huge event. I'm talking like 1 million+ people. So you might be able to set up your vending space, right? And get away with it and kind of, go under the radar, because there's just so much going on. But if you see like an event that is gated, like that's in a park, don't try it, because there are people, because it's a controlled environment, the event producers more than likely have a huge team because it takes a huge team to put huge events together like that in the park. So they know the vendors. They kind of walking around and they could kind of see an illegal vendor. So you just want to avoid those type of situations. But definitely one of the things that you want to do that will help you before you event at an event, attend the event. Even if it's an annual event and you have to wait a whole year for the next event, it is advantageous to do that because you will understand how to prepare for that event and make sure that it's stressful. Let me tell you something, family. You can do things on a whim. You can say, oh, I make great crochet, hats, and I need some money for this bill or for the end of the month, rent, whatever the case may be. And I'm gonna go out and I'm gonna go on the street. I'm gonna set up a table and I'm gonna bet. You can do it, right? You can totally do that. And I'm not encouraging people to do that, because if you need to make it happen, make it happen. However, if you are trying to be a master vendor, if you are trying to make sure that this is an income stream that can provide financial security, you want to take it as seriously as you can. You want to have the right permit. You want to have certain things under your belt that's going to make you a strong vendor. Because I have been in situations where you want to just do an event because it's taking place, because because people are going to be there. If you take your time to prepare, you are going to be able to master the art of vending. And any event space that you go into, you're going to hit your goals. And of course, you want to have goals. How much products you want to sell? How big is the event? How much product am I bringing there? And when I bring this product there, I want to sell. Again, like I said, I can tell right away when a vendor comes in if they're going to make money, if they're going to be successful, if they're a master vendor or if they're not. It shows right away. So when a master vendor is working and they see an event location, or they see somewhere that they want to vend, they have already checked out the situation. They have talked to the event producer. They have asked all the necessary questions so that they are going into with a full frame of mind of what this event is going to do for them. I'm going to get this many emails. I'm going to get, all of these things. You want to think about all these things so that it's a situation that is going to strengthen and empower you and not take away from you and draw from you, whether that's a ticket, whether that's, anything, a bad vibe, a bad review, anything like that. So just avoid all of those things and really take the time to understand vending and put these things into practice. One of the things you don't want to do is leave your table unattended, leave your booth unattended. You have to understand that even if you're in a controlled environment, in a controlled event, things can happen. Things can just get knocked over. Things Accidents happen all the time. So you want to make sure that if you have to leave your table, that you are leaving someone to attend to your table. If it's a fellow vendor, if it's the event producer, do not leave your table, not even to go to the bathroom, unless you understand the crowd is small enough where people can kind of see if someone's going up to your table and mess with it. But if there's a lot of people there, and even if it's a quick 1 minute run to do something, ask someone to watch your table. Kind of tell people, okay, this is how much this is going to cost, or just tell them, listen, if any patrons stop by, please let them know I'm going to be right back. Even that is good enough, right? Um, don't bring things you don't need. Again, family, let's think about this objectively. If you're going to an event to vend and you are vending crochet hats, Why do you have all of the crystals that you like to have around your house? That is not the time or the place to have random things. Unless that's a part of your setup, unless it's a part of your table, less is more in this situation. If you have to go somewhere after, if there's other things involved, we understand that there are exceptions to everything. But I have seen vendors that have come there, come to an event with, a huge suitcase because they're going on a vacation after. And it's like, now I have to figure out where this big suitcase is going to go. It causes confusion. Again, you want to reduce the amount of confusion that you are putting into the atmosphere of this event or location. Don't forget business cards or some kind of giveaway that people are going to remember you by. This is super important. Business cards are not expensive. You can get free business cards actually and just pay for the shipping through online portals because business cards are so necessary. Um, Even if it's not a business card, it could be a flyer, it could be a brochure, it could be a menu, it could be a black and it could be a an index card. A woman I saw was using an index card for kind of like a flyer, and she wrote all of her information back and forward, and you could tell that she prepared that. She had to sit down and write out all of these index cards, and she kind of like decorated it, put like little sparkles here and there, and you see the effort that she took. It's like, wow, this is really nice. You're gonna put that somewhere, especially if you want to follow up with the person. Little different little things like that help people remember you, help them come back. They'll remember you if they see you at another event, or if you are able to get their contact information, they might come out to future events. And that's one thing that I want to give a tip about, because it's not only the responsibility of the event producer to bring patrons into the event. You also want to let people know where you're going to be. This is a way that you can build your customer base, because not it's not every time your customers are going to know when you're out, and maybe they want to ask more questions, interact with you, demonstrate different products that you have. So you let them know, hey, I'm going to be at this event, I'm going to be at this event. It helps the event producer, of course, naturally, but then that also helps you. You might get discounts and a kickback from that. So definitely ask about that, but make sure that the patrons can walk away with something that they can remember you by. And then don't forget to have change. This might go without saying if anyone, does business, um, does any type of things in those realms, selling, or has, attended and done like bars or something like that. That's one of the things that I didn't realize. So I'm just gonna say it, and it is in the book, that you gotta have some change, because again, you might be that disruptive vendor that has to go to other vendors and ask for their change. You have to leave the event to go get change, and all of these different things. So we talk about all of these little nuances within vending that don't really present themselves at first on the surface, but when you vend more and more, these issues arise. So you want to think about that beforehand and kind of fill in these gaps. And so there's more do's and don'ts in the actual book itself. These are just like some key points, and having change is one of those key points. It makes things a lot simpler. I know people are doing Square now and Cash App and things like that, but people are still using cash money. Cash money is not dead yet. So as people are using cash money, you want to make it easy for them to spend money with you, right? So you want to have change. And another way to avoid needing change is um to have your products be priced in a way that people won't need change, right? So better to price something at $10 or $20 than 15, where someone might have to break a 20 or have to find, a 5 or something like that. So keeping it simple, but always have a little bit of change with you just in case of those incidences. You might have someone that comes up, and have $100 bill. There's always one or two of those instances. And if you have change and another vendor doesn't have it, then you're able to help them out. So that's also a good thing. And don't forget to follow up. Follow up with the event producer. Follow up with the customers, of course. Follow up with them. Follow up with people that you network with, other vendors. They might know other events that are coming up, and they can let you know about that. They can help you with your vending situation. If you need assistance, support, a ride, they could be your ride buddy, ride share. I know a lot of vendors do that. They come together and really support each other. The vending community is a great community because they know what it takes to be a vendor. And it takes a lot of preparation. It takes thinking through how you're going to run the business and make this vending experience um, advantageous to you, because you can go out and vend and make money, and then you never see those customers again, and it was kind of like, okay, that was good, but you want that long money, that long term money, right? You want your business to be growing all the time. If you set up an email blast system and you are emailing out people all the time, you can encourage them to forward it, and that really helps grow your business. Every seasoned vendor has an email list, just to let you know, hands down. Email is one of those great things, but there's also like virtual business cards that you can do now that you can just really text out and people can get it directly to their phone. So don't be afraid to use technology, but make sure that whatever you do, that you are keeping people engaged in what you are doing. And so that is the end of the presentation. Again, there's a lot more in the book. Brother Rojo calls it the Vending Bible. And it's so great because I really take you from A to Z. If there's anything that you need to know about vending, it is in the art of vending. And we will soon, I'm working on it now, the supplement Learn the Art of Virtual Vending. There's some nuances and some specific things that you need to know about virtual vending. And so you can go to smartmoneyuniversity.org, or excuse me for the typo there, but it is smartmoneyuniversity.org. Go there, check out all of the classes that we have. Sign up for the Learn the Art of Vending class itself. It's 8 weeks, and we take you through the main chapters of the book, comprehensive. You get a copy of the book. You can get that either as an ebook or a physical book. And you go through all of these things. You can ask your questions. We're going to have demonstrations on how to set up both a in-person event style booth or table and also a virtual setup. So please email us at smartmoneyuniversity@gmail.com. Okay, for more information, if you have any questions, and I'll take questions now as well. And we're also going to open up this space for people who might want to talk about what they're doing to introduce themselves. But also, if you have any questions about any of the information shared about the classes through Smart Money University, please email smartmoneyu@gmail.com.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I
Greetings.
greetings.
Peace and love, sis. Wonderful presentation, informative. For those who's online and for those who's going to be tuning in, definitely take heed to the information. Our sister have a powerful book sharing all the logistics down, and plus that book, she'll be doing workshop curriculum to educate. Before we open the floor, I wanted to touch on the four tiers, sis, and I want to get your insights, just because you share a lot of the do's and don'ts and insight. But now, like we said, for the different tier system, from the small to the mid tier to the major to even the virtual, there are different dynamics. So we just was mentioning about we did a exclusive event at our home, you know, private event, with a spa day. We had a couple of vendors and whatnot. This is what you would call like one of you call it the low tier event. That's like the start when you would turn your home or a low location into a spot. You do vending for a little time period, few hours or whatnot. What are some insights can you share about the first tier? I won't even say low tier, the first tier when it's like, opening your home to do vending and things of that nature. What are some pros and cons in relation to that?
Well, the pros are definitely having an intimate setting. You really get to know the patrons. It's the perfect opportunity to really connect with them, really use the communication tool to start the foundation of a relationship. Also, another thing is you pretty much might know how many patrons are going to be there, so you know exactly how much product to bring. It's not a mystery, because some events you kind of have to gauge it, and you kind of it comes with time as well doing events. But this type of event, you kind of know, okay, there might be 10 or 20 people there, so I'm going to keep my setup simple, or I'm going to keep the amount of merchandise that I'm going to bring simple. Also, in terms of the on the con side, it depending on the time, depending on really your schedule, what you have going on, it might not be the event to pay the bills, right? You understand that this type of event, you're doing it to build a relationship. And I talk about, even if you go to an event and it wasn't supposed to be this first kind of tier event, you thought that it was a bigger event. You get there is the first tier. So of course you stay positive and you go in. There's an opportunity there to get content for your website, for your social media, that people take pictures with your products. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with saying, hey, we have a few minutes. Do you mind we take a mini photo shoot, and I'll tag you in it, and I'll give you a thank you, or name you as a sponsor. There's different things that you can have this event style work for you. But again, you want to know that this is the type of event you're getting into beforehand.
Powerful, powerful. And now, with the mid tier event, which you said something very, very important, and we mentioned that in the classes, it don't matter if it's five, four, three, two, one. It's about moving the crowd and making a major impact. And, we're not talking about the quick fix of just selling an item and you may never see this person or individual again, but building a relationship where you have an ongoing network going. So that brings me to the second tier event. It's not the major, but it's not the first tier. It's like, we did a couple of them, Brother Mark, salute to Mark, and a couple of people who have events where business, even though this is a mid-tier event, a second-tier event, they come out professional, ready to showcase businesses, more or less on the second-tier event, business present themselves, so they have a different type of energy than the first one where they just come out and just sell or whatever. If nobody show up, whatever, anybody show up, you smile. This one, you have to have more of a presentation, and then you have to be confident to present your resources to the people. What are some insights you would like to share in regards to the second mid-tier event or vending?
The mid tier, you this is where it gets tricky in terms of the merchandise, because and again, you want to go to these events ahead of time. So if there's an event producer in your community, and it's, oh, there's going to be 100 people at this event, it's going to be great, definitely bring, 100 product for 100 people, because these people shop and all of this stuff. And then you get there and there's 15 people, right? there's a fine line, a fine balance with these mid-tier events. So you want to bring, I would say, bring enough for about 75 people. Always go on the lower end, especially if you're doing food. If you're doing food, it has to be a little more exact. But if you're doing like little treats and small bites and things like that, go on the lower end, because if you sell all of that out, people are good is because they liked it, and you can build off of that. And so only a small amount of people didn't get your product, so those are the people that you can focus on later on, deals and specials, because they missed it at the event. But that's a great problem to have. So some people, they can have a lot of product, and it won't hurt their business. They can sell it at another event. But if you are a vendor that has to be conscious, let's just say the products, if it's not food, but the products are perishable. If you're making, natural products, and it has a shelf life. So you want to really understand and get to know this event producer, so that you know when they say 100 people are going to be there, that 100 people are going to be there and not 15. Or if they tell you 100 people are going to be there and then it's 500, because that's the other problem, right? So you want to know your event producer. You want to know the neighborhood, the location, and understand what it is that you need to do to get yourself there. And understand also the type of crowd. Is it the right crowd for you? That's one of the things I wanted to mention, because not all products go in the right crowd or in the right event. If you are a person where you need a lot of space for your presentation, you have a big booth, mid-tier level event is not for you. So you really want to understand what's going on at this event and what you need to be successful at this event. And one of the things to really understand about the mid level, a little tip that can really help people, is not only getting to know the event producer, but also asking, other people, other vendors. Rely on your vending community to let you know how this event is going to run. It'll save you a lot of time and energy understanding what's going to happen to that event.
Powerful, powerful, sis. And it's so important what you said in regards to going into the third tier, which is the major event. Now, you never want to, run out of products. Of course, you always want to make sure and have your inventory set. Now, when it comes to the major events, now it's a whole different ballgame from the mid-tier event. Like we said, like how our sister was saying, the do's and don'ts. What preparation you doing before? What support you have around you in case someone have to use the bathroom, or if you have to get change, or do you have a tent if you're outdoor? I remember example, I there was we did the Jerk Fest, that happen every year. They bring out artists from all over, calypso artists from Trinidad, Jamaican artists. Elephant Man was performing that year. A couple of other artists. Matter of fact, they brought out Shaba. Shaba came back. I was like, so I'm coming there with the alkaline food. But I treated the major tier event like a mid tier event. When I'm telling you, we had like about 10 trays of food. We didn't really have our banner like that. We had to draw something out. And we was, and we're not there to compete, but we were competing with people who had mascot chicken outfit on, selling jerk chicken, the jerk saws. They out here giving out jerk chicken, jerk patties and everything. So it was like that event. And then, on our part, food was spoiling, and, because we didn't have the right temperature, right? Like, it was a serious experience. And I said, wow, it's a difference when you're messing with a mid-tier event and a major event. Like you said, the International African Art Festival and these other festival ways, like about 3 to 5 days straight. What insights could you share about those type of events and preparation in relation to it?
Yes, well, the one of the things in this type of situation is definitely crawl before you walk. You want to get some experience under your belt before you go into that type of event, because those events have so many things that you need to know. Most of them do require some kind of license, or some, if you're a food vendor, you definitely have to have your food permit, food handler's permit, and things like that. I've done these major events, and the registration is probably like the forms that you have to fill out, and what you have to read, the information is 10 pages plus. Sometimes it's like 20 pages, because they want to make sure that they're not liable for certain things. You have to, based on their insurance, you got to sign things and all of this stuff. So it's intense. So you want to make sure that you're prepared for that. You know what you're getting into. And so when you get into the situation, there's a lot of things to know, like in terms of having a smooth operation. When you get into a place like that, you want to have someone, taking the money. You want to have someone, watching the merchandise, because there's a lot going on. You want to have someone who is just focused on, replenishing. There's different things that need to happen. So you want to have a solid team when you go into an event like that. You want to have everything set up beforehand, because sometimes you're not even able to leave. Like if you're in a park, it's like you got to stay here for the whole day. So you have to make sure that everything that you need is there with you. You want to understand whether, if it's a large event, indoors or even outdoors, they're going to have a floor plan. You're gonna know, they're gonna tell you where your booth is. So once you understand where your booth is, you might have to understand what that particular location needs. It might need a tent. It might not need a tent. You might need, something to be on the ground, a mat or something, depending on, what it is that you're doing. So you want to understand in relation to where you are setting up the different things that you need. And don't be afraid to ask questions. And the event producers are there. When you're dealing with that type of event, there is a number. They're probably there, most business days, and like the whole 9 to 5 thing. These are people that are working full time to make sure that this event is planned and, properly, and it goes off without a hitch. There's a lot of moving parts. So you want to know everything. So don't be afraid to call the event producers. There's usually a person that's dealing directly with the vendors, and that's their job, to deal with the vendors. It's sometimes even more than one person. So ask them all the necessary questions. Um, Another thing that you want to understand, and I talked about this in terms of working with tents. You might think it's simple, but the tent thing is a little tricky. Okay, so we talk about that extensively, how to secure your tent. So there's all these different things that you want to understand, and also merchandise. How much merchandise? This is when more is more. Right. You want to have enough at these type of events, because you're serving a large amount of people, or potentially. And even if, you should have a plan where you have different ways that you're bringing people to the table. You should have, okay, are you sampling and these type of things. So you want to kind of factor that into what you have there, so have enough for sampling and have enough to for people to purchase. um I love these type of events are my favorite. I love being outdoors. You mentioned the African Arts Festival. And one year, so they always do it around July 4th weekend, and sometimes it ends up being 4 days. But this one particular year that I didn't, it ended up being 5 days, because July 4th ended up being like the Wednesday, like smack dab in the middle of the week. So they organized 5 days of this festival, and I was outside. It was very hot this year. It didn't rain like at all. These 5 days was beautiful weather, and I was baking, like literally, like at the end of that, I was like 10 shades darker. Like I was exposed to the sun for that whole time. So if you're a person that's sensitive to the element, sensitive to sun, you want to make sure that you have something to put on your skin to keep you comfortable. Have a plan for rain, that if you're outside for that amount of time, and that's what I mentioned, having something for the floor, because if you're on a grassy area vending, there might be problems with mud, or people just, tracking, water and stuff like that. So you want to kind of minimize that. So you also want to have a plan on how to protect your merchandise if it rains and different things like that. So yeah, no, that those events are really intense. So if you're looking to do those events, you're starting out, you definitely need this class. So we delve deep into what you need to know to be successful at those type of events.
Powerful, powerful, sis. And the beautiful thing is, before the pandemic happened, we did a powerful unity vending, powerful pioneers. We have so much different businesses and resources, and with these major events, we running from 3,000 to 5,000, all type of $1,000 for few days to vend, and you can make your money back. You definitely need to be able to believe in yourself and make the investment. So giving thanks, pioneers, we able to unify together, come together, have 5, 7, 12 different businesses come together, unify. That year when we partnered with Queen of Four, it was so awesome. We had like 9 to 12 different businesses. We took over half of the side of the field just with our business alone. Everyone edifying each other, promoting, marketing, and this energy that we talk about, that unity in the community, we brought it via technology. So one of the other thing that my sister also will be adding on is the virtual vending. Yes, the virtual vending is a different ball game. Now, of course, with Pioneers, what we do is we have what we call Black Friday Virtual Mall, where we all come together on a Friday, unify, we virtually vend, we edify each other. The same thing we do at the major events, coming together, 12 together and unifying and edifying. Now we take that on a virtual world, which is very, very important, knowing that, there's a lot of competition and fighting over likes and views. Now we're able to come on a clean platform and virtually vend. Can you share some of the dynamics on the difference of physically vending and being a virtual vendor, and what some of the pros and cons?
Sure. So virtual vending, and it's kind of what I'm doing here, right? My products are behind me. I'm in a well lit area. The background is nice. That's the first thing. The presentation is every single thing when you talk about virtual vending, right? Because this is a virtual, people are seeing. So you want to be inviting. You want to have one of the things to know about being on camera. And if people haven't been on camera before, this is a great little tidbit if you're doing anything in that realm. It's like, even if you are going on one of those shows to be in like a studio audience, when you go there, they always tell you wear solid colors. Solid colors look way better on camera, right? When you have busy things on, it makes the eyes busy. They're looking at what's going on with that, shirt or whatever. So you want to keep it really clean. You want to be have it well lit. Lighting is super important when it comes to virtual vending, and you want to have your plan. You want to kind of practice your presentation beforehand. If you're interacting with the customers, you want to maybe have prepare some questions, or have your demonstration, have whatever it is that you're going to do down pat. Certain events, I've done Circle of Sisters virtually, and you are not as active as you are on a like a black stream kind of situation, because you have to present. unless you pre-recorded and then you're just making a presentation. But if you're actually, actively vending on Blackstream, you're speaking, you're making a presentation, you're showing on Circle of Sisters, or the one that I chose anyway, the plan that I chose, you were able to do everything pre-recorded, and then as that's pre-recording and looping the whole time through the event, you can do one-on-ones, you can do the chat, and so you are waiting for people to interact with you and come into the chat that way. So it's just different nuances, different platforms. There's a lot that is going on in this space. So there's, again, just like, events, there are different stipulations that you want to know, different, you want to know your platform. How do people engage with you there? Are there certain instructions that they need to know? Is there an onboarding process that you have to go through? You might have to do some training to figure out the technology and things like that. I actually like virtual vending a little bit more than in-person vending, because I'm a little bit of a more of a shy person. So virtually vending kind of is a more controlled situation, controlled environment. I'm a Virgo too, and I like to control things. So that could be why too. But yeah, you really get to control everything that's happening within that space. You control all of this, right? For the events, you have to be way more fluid. You have to be extremely fluid. I mean, you can get to an event and they're like, you know what, we're about to cops come and they gotta shut the event down, right? So one of the only things that you might have to, really deal with in terms of a challenge, you check your connection, make sure that your connection is going to be strong enough to support the whole time that you're virtually vending. You want to think about your equipment. Can your equipment handle the vending? I had a situation. I was using one of the programs, and I was going on long. It was like maybe 3-4 hours. I was participating in this, and after a certain time, it just cut off because my system couldn't handle the processing. So these are different little things that you want to know. You want to know your machine. You want to practice beforehand. You want to kind of go through it. If you're doing an event like Circle of Sisters, a big event, like an expo, a virtual shopping mall, they'll have information. They'll send you, the 10 or 20 pages worth of information of things that you need to know. So there should be some kind of training and onboarding process for you to be familiar with the system in order to virtually vent. So don't think like, oh, I'm good with computers, I don't need to, do that onboarding. You definitely need it because every system is different. And you want to be able to ask those questions and just get really comfortable with the technology before the event happens. Um, and another thing that you want to kind of pay attention to when you're virtually vending, just in the same way you want to have a way that you're going to be able to retain the customers and follow up with them. So have your just like when you're watching a YouTuber, they have their things down pat what they're going to say. They say, oh, like, share, comment, subscribe, hit the bell button, all of this stuff. My son even said that we're about to try to do some YouTube stuff because he'll just be here from him listening to YouTube. He'll be like, hit the bell button and, subscribe to this channel. You don't even know, what subscribe mean, but it is ingrained in him because YouTubers know that you have to say that. So have those kind of things prepared that you're telling people, follow me on this. This is a virtual platform. So everything that you have virtually, you want to make sure that people know that so that you're able to find them later, they're able to find you later, and you can get that customer retention relationship going.
Sis, can you share your website, your Black Stream? And for those who don't know, Sister PJ is live on her Black Stream channel as she's sharing this wonderful information, sharing the science and the art of vending. Yes, she is virtually vending now. Yes, as we speak. So you can go on her channel, blackstream.live /expo /brown eyes with a Z TV. That's brown eyes with a Z TV. Definitely check out her channel, blackstream.live /expo brown eyes TV. You can support her wonderful books. You can support, she have two books. She have the Learn the Art of Vending book, the Invention book. Giving thanks, Sister PJ is also an inventor. She invented the convertible panties. Y'all definitely want to check that out. Yes, Momspreneur. Giving thanks, Sister PJ, the Momspreneur specialist. As she doing this wonderful cause, I know she's doing Momspreneur simultaneously. We salute you. Giving thanks. Y'all can donate if y'all love the information she shared. She have a link that you can just donate all this powerful information that she shared about the art of vending. Support. The one thing about the virtual vending platform is a one-stop shop. So you can use it as a digital business card, a website, and now for those people who have hard time packing up the packages in the vehicle, traveling all over, unpacking, have to worry about tent, the tent flying away, paying all these $1,000 physically vending, everything that we go through on a physical vending to set up. All you got to do is set your healing station home, put the camera on, Black Stream style, and be a virtual vendor. Definitely stay tuned for Black Friday, y'all, and give thanks again for our sister PJ. Definitely check her out. Support her on blackstream.live /expo /brown eyes TV. Anyone have any questions? Anyone have any comments? Anything they would like to share? Giving thanks, giving thanks. We thank everyone for coming in. Sister PJ, any last words you would like to share?
I'm sorry. Hi, this is Sister Ashley, Sun Life Holistic. I would just like to say thank you to Sister PJ for sharing, and I'm so proud of you with the books. That's so exciting, and for your invention. That's wonderful. Congratulations.
Thank you so much. I so appreciate that. And only because you
Welcome.
said it, I'm going to talk about my book very quickly. Um, so, my second book, and the title, Who's Going to Invent That? You? A Journey of Courage and Lessons for Every Inventor. This is actually like my favorite project, my favorite product, because it was such an accomplishment. I want to thank Brother Rojo for encouraging me to put it out in this format. I was going to just do the ebook thing and maybe print out some copies, on the side. But he said, "Nah, sis, I want you to come hard with this one. This is an important story to tell." And he really encouraged me. And so he's the reason why this exists the way it is. And I love it. I did the cover. I did the cover design. If you go to my website, PojaneeFleury.com, I also designed that. I also did the smartmoneyuniversity.org website. And I have a lot of different talents, and writing, I never really believed in that writing was one of them. But as I wrote the first book, the ebook, Learn the Art of Vending, I noticed that I kind of have a little knack, and maybe I can do that. So when I started this memoir, and things just really started flowing. And some people might say, "Well, I thought you read these great magazines," and I really tried to stay in my lane as a publisher and not do too much writing. Even though I did do some writing through those platforms, this is like the first time that I'm actually writing like a full-fledged novel type, and it came out very well. I've been getting a lot of great, amazing feedback, already in 3 stores. Give thanks to Powerful Pioneers and Brother Rojo going on tour. and getting the book out there. And I have some other great prospects on the table to get the book out further. So I'm just really happy and excited. So the title, Who's Going to Invent That? I was speaking with a sister that didn't know me too well. She didn't, know specifically that I was an inventor, but I thought about something one night off the fly with my inventor mind. I was like, oh, that would be a great idea. What do you think about that? And she was like, she kind of brushed me off. And I was just, like a little persistent. And I'm like, no, what do you think about that? That would be great, right? If it was on the market, would you buy it? And she was like, well, yeah, but who's going to invent that? You? And it was a poignant moment because I had already been dealing with a few challenges in terms of the confidence that it took to even say that I'm an inventor, even ask someone if they might like something that I created. It was a journey. And this is what my book is about. And I wanted to name the book that just to speak to those times where people have been in my situation and they were challenged or maybe like not fully believed or not supported and encouraged the way that we really need to be. And just for everyone, not just for people in our community, but especially for people in our community, we really need that community support. We need people behind us, people to say that's good because we know that there are other areas of society that might tell us it's not good when it is. So we really have to be that support system for each other. So that's why I named the book that, and talking about my journey of courage, how I built up that courage, and I impart lessons also for inventors, but it can apply for a lot of different situations, creatives and things like that. But if you are trying to be an inventor, that is also on one of the classes we'll be offering through Smart Money University. Invent that. I want to encourage anyone that has an idea, um, and I believe that we are all inventors on some level. We're always creating. We're creative beings, and that creation, even if it's a graphic design or a new recipe, that's something that did not exist before that now exists in reality. That's an invention. That's a creation. And a lot of times we might have those little ideas like, oh, we should have this new type of, mop or whatever it is because it needs to be more effective. Every day products are coming out. You didn't think anything was wrong with the mop until the Swiffer jet came out, right? So we understand that these things improve our lives. It helps push society forward. And I want to encourage anyone, if you had any type of idea, please join that class, understand what it takes, what you have to do, the process to become an inventor, to get products out on the shelf, to protect things. If you already have been, out there doing something and you want to protect it, you can do so. And we're going to be talking about all of those things under the umbrella of intellectual property and it just creating a space for people to create create. And even if it doesn't get to the level of protection, like copyrights and trademarks, intellectual property, even if that's not your goal, just being in a space around other creatives is so powerful. So I encourage everyone to look into that course, look into all the courses that we're doing, visit Smart Money University, visit also my site, PojaneeFleury.com, and I'll add that to the chat as well if you would like the book. If you want to find out more about my invention, the convertible panty, all of that is there. Okay. Thank you so much for listening to me, listening to the whole presentation, and being with us on this forum tonight. Brother Rojo, do you have any last words? Or does anyone else have a question? We'll answer that quickly before we wrap up.
Learn the art of vending. Get the book. Learn the art of vending. Get the book. There's a science to it. There's an art to it. Our sister took the time to create this from her journey doing first tier, second tier, major tier, virtual. She put it in a book. Get the book. I support it. I endorse it. I sponsor it. I invest in it. And now we're bringing a curriculum for the people. So if anything, definitely support that book, Learn the Art of Vending. So now you can have a holistic approach when it comes to vending. Giving thanks, sis. Peace and love, family. Power.